Hi, welcome back to another episode of What a Bunch of Weirdos, where I talk about artists and their lives, and I show you that they're just the weirdos of their times that really like to make art. Today, I'm going to be talking about Monet. And Monet started out with three names: Oscar Claude Monet. But he must not have liked Oscar because he just went by Claude. That's fair. I'll be honest. I only knew about him in name only, but what I've learned is really beautiful. He originally started out just doing charcoal caricatures, and he was selling them for like 20 to 30 francs while he was in art school. He didn't even know he wanted to be a painter yet. Monet's mother was a singer, and she was always encouraging him. Meanwhile, his dad was a grocer, so he was a lot more practical. Monet's life was forever altered when his mom passed away when he was only 16, though, and he was sent off to live with one of his aunts. Monet was first introduced to oil paintings by a painter named Eugene Boudin. Boudin taught him to paint in the open air, and there's a French saying for that, which I am not going to try because I know that I am probably not doing it correctly. But that would be forever how Monet would paint. He would watch a lot of his classmates and other students copy what the masters were doing while he was just painting what he was seeing. Monet went to some art schools with a brief intermission in Africa during some military service. But while Monet was in Paris, he was submitting all of his works to a place called the Salon, which was the most prestigious place that you could submit your work. However, they didn't like his paintings, and they only ever accepted two. Monet is known as the father of Impressionism, and that name actually derives from him being ridiculed by an art critic in Paris who was mocking the name of one of his paintings that he named Impression. And so the genre Impressionism was born. Claude's first wife was a common subject in a lot of his paintings, including one of the paintings that was actually accepted into the Salon. And it was a Camille in a green dress and a fur jacket, and her eyes are downcast as if she's in silent conversation with herself. And it's actually a very, very cool painting. And he even painted her upon her deathbed as she was fading away from tuberculosis. Personally, I think that was probably because he wanted to spend time with her and he didn't want to just sit. And it helped him grieve in his own way. That's beautiful. Having been poor most of his life, he reached financial stability after the passing of his wife, Camille. It was then that he moved to, I'm going to butcher this, Giverny, France. Giverny, I don't know how to say that. And that's where his subject started to shift. His focus on his subjects started to shift. And this is where he started to really focus more on light and how light affected the color and the shades and all of the things. And it was because he was always painting out in the open air. Claude would paint out the rest of his life in front of the pond that he created with the water lilies that he planted, that he found endlessly amusing. He would spend so many of his days just going out to that pond, and they would switch canvases for him throughout the daytime. So that way he was always working in the time of day in the colors that he was using. And he understood, sorry, I have to read it so that I get it right. He understood that you can look at the same thing every day and never see the same thing twice. There's beauty everywhere, and it is ever changing. So one of my favorite quotes from him is, "People discuss my art and pretend to understand as if it were necessary to understand, when it's simply necessary to love." And this is really how I feel about my photography too. And I don't want, like, sometimes I don't really just dig too deep. I just see what I really love and I take a picture of it. And that's, he's relatable. They're all relatable because they're all just regular people. And that's really my whole goal with all of this. With my whole What a Bunch of Weirdos, I want artists to feel relatable because They're just regular people, and they really, really did just really love to create art. And that's what set them apart. And a lot of them were shunned for the type of art that they liked to create. And I mean, like Monet, they thought that his style of art was dangerous for art. Monet, like when you look at it, you're like, how is this dangerous for art? But that was one of the things that people had thought. And you just have to remember that sometimes you have to be the one that pushes the envelope. I do highly recommend exploring his works. And if you'd like, I can share the Pinterest board that I create for each of these artists. And you can see the quotes that I've saved for them and any like little tidbits that I thought were really interesting that I have found. Or if I found like the website was actually super like informational, and just really look at them. Just like take 5 minutes, pick one picture, look at it for 5 minutes, and like zoom in, look at the paint strokes, just look at it and see the colors and see the light and enjoy it. I bet that you will feel so much better when you're done. I really hope that you guys are enjoying these, because these are really fun for me to make. I really appreciate you watching if you watched this far. And yeah, I'm still figuring it out. Clearly, I decided today that I would do this setup. And that is why I'm a couple days late on doing it, because I wasn't sure how I wanted to film it yet. So here we are. And I think this might be a more permanent thing for me because I like it. And I think it's cute. And you get to see all my Harry Potter stuff, which is also really cute. Thanks for watching. Do you love, be kind, stay weird.